going to be based on something like an organization that the business process applies to. In this case, it's to our M Human Resource Department. And because of their access, we just need to make a slightly different security setup when we're going through and doing those default compensation changes for them. And I'm going to pause there for just a second. Any questions so far? Perfect. I am taking silence as no. Let's move forward again. We do have this lovely jargon buster, and I highly recommend going through this after this training. I'm only going to touch on 2 of these right now. The first one is approvals, actions, and sub-processes. These are all different kinds of steps that can be included on a single business process. So an action might be something like a to-do. It might be a task. You're maintaining a document. You're updating some information about an employee. A sub-process just means that at a specific point in a single business process, it is going to kick off another business process so that you do not have to manually set that up and do it. And the best example of that I can give is the relationship between hire and onboarding. So in the hire process, you reach a specific point, and that actually automatically kicks off onboarding, so all of those tasks can start. You only have to remember to start the hire process. It will automatically start the onboarding process. And then the completion step, there is going to be a point in the system that is defined as when the business process is complete. This doesn't mean that you've completed all of the actions that might be needed in the business process, but you're telling the system all of the approvals are done on this, so we can consider it finished, even though we still have actions to do. So as a for instance, if you're putting a worker on a leave of absence, and let's say it starts today, the worker won't show as on leave until we actually reach that completion step. The nice part is there is a separate column in that business process definition that actually says complete. And there's just going to be a step that says yes, and that's the completion step for this. So let's go ahead and move forward here. And we are going to get into our next slide out so we can get in and make sure that we can see things in there. So I'm going to have you proxy as Swamp Thing. And that might take just a minute or two. So once you are proxied as Swamp Thing, you are searching for BP : change default compensation. And what you're looking at is how many rule-based business processes exist for change default compensation. All right, we're still going through it. Oh, we've got an answer coming in. Got a couple competing answers, so let's see what we get. And just keep in mind, we're looking for rule-based business processes. All right, I'm going to give it just a second or two more. And we've had 3 overtake 4. So that is in fact correct. There are 3 rule-based business processes. Just keep in mind that we will also always have that default definition, and that's going to be our process that applies to all workers unless they have a rule-based definition. And now, still proxy to Swamp Thing, go ahead and open change default compensation, and we're specifically looking for the one that is set up for our M human resources that reports to Flash. What is the step that the business process is considered complete? Okay, it looks like we're starting to get some folks typing in. Okay, so I've got a couple different answers here. All right, so it is the step that is assigned to that HR executive intersection. That is step E. It's our very last approval. Just as a reminder, we can still have steps after that completion step, so that compensation plan assignment audit, that one is going to be after the completion. And what we're looking for there is that column that's labeled complete, and we're looking for the step that has a yes. So awesome. Let's go ahead and move forward. Now that we've touched a little bit on business processes as a whole, let's get into what's probably going to be more important for your day-to-day life, which is going to be reviewing business processes for a worker and how to tell where we are in the process. So we're going to go ahead and start by talking about where to find information on workers. And the very first way we're going to find this is by going to a worker profile, going to the job section, and then navigating to the worker history tab. This is going to show the information in chronological order for a worker, every business process event that's happened. This is especially helpful if you are looking for something in the recent past, or if you are just trying to see what happened when and in what order. But it's going to be a little bit challenging if you are not certain when something happened, or if we have a worker who's been here for a little while and maybe they have several hundred events that you then need to go through. So we also have this lovely button called View Worker History by Category. And if we could go ahead and move forward, thank you so much. Worker history by category is a different way to look at these business process events. They are first divided by type of event, and then again by chronological order. And across the top, you will see all of the different types of events. And then within that, you'll have different sections that are actually going to go through the chronological order. This is going to make it a lot easier to find a specific event and a lot easier to find, let's say, the order that specific events happen. So if you wanted to look at all of the business processes relating to a photo change, you would be able to come to that here and see them in order. And both of these, the access to them is going to, again, be dependent upon your security access to the employees. So let's move forward one more slide. We also have a fantastic report that can be really helpful if My Tasks is getting a little bit overwhelming, or if you're trying to search for something that is specifically waiting on you. This is Transactions Awaiting Me, and it is going to allow you to see any business process that is waiting on you. You can constrain it by a start and an end date. If you leave that business process section blank, it's going to bring everything in. But you can also put in a specific type of business process and only pull in those types. That's especially going to be helpful if, let's say, you're trying to make sure that you have all